Hello, everyone, and welcome to the AMC Project Popcorn YouTube channel. My name is Ethan, and today we're recording and publishing the third video on the Daniel Meyer Transmittal Affidavit series. If you haven't watched the first two videos yet, I highly recommend doing so before diving into this one. They provide important context that will help everything make sense. In today's video, we'll be breaking down Exhibit 3 from the Daniel Meyer Transmittal Affidavit, focusing on one of the most pivotal dates in AMC meme stock history, January 27, 2021. Before we get started, take a second to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Go to youtube.com. In the search engine, you could type in at AMC Project Popcorn, then go to subscribe, hit the button, and then select all. Also, make sure to follow us on X or Twitter, Twitter handle, X handle at AMC Share Count, to stay connected and turn on notifications. Right here is our Twitter handle. You could type that in the search engine here at AMC Share Count right here, and we'll load up. Okay, now let's dive in. From December 2021 until the end of 2023, AMC CEO Adam Aron hosted over 20 meet and greet events, diligently working the crowd to solidify his rapport and build trust with the AMC retail community. I want to direct your attention now to April 20th, 2023, to a meet and greet event in San Diego, California at AMC La Jolla. Here, Adam Aron addressed the gathered retail investors, reflecting on the unprecedented events of Wednesday, January 27, 2021. Let's listen to a key segment of this monologue. For those who are interested, this is the URL. We're going to focus on the timestamp of 9 minutes and 10 seconds to 12 minutes and 28 seconds.
Yeah. So, anyway, the next day after that press release, the craziest thing happened. You guys showed up.
Yeah.
So I want to see what happened to our stock in that January. It was $1.91 in early January. $1.91, that's pretty low. The Friday before we put out the press release that said bankruptcy off the table, the stock was at $3. We put out the press release the Monday morning before the market opened, bankruptcy off the table, stock exploded to $5. Now, a $2 price increase doesn't sound like a lot, but $2 on $3, that's up 66% in a day. That's a lot. That was Monday. On the Wednesday, it also closed Tuesday at $5. On the Wednesday, it closed at $20. It quadrupled in one day. And the trading volume in AMC stock was so ridiculous. At that time, we had 100 million shares outstanding. On the New York Stock Exchange on the Wednesday, we had 100 million shares outstanding, but at that time, we were a majority owned by a Chinese company, the largest movie theater chain in China. They had 50 million shares. And they never traded a one. Now they bought AMC in 2013. They got out in 21. So they're long gone. We're all American today as we were when we were founded 100 years ago in Kansas City. So we only had 50 million shares that actively traded because the Chinese company had 50 million shares and they never sold a one. On that Wednesday, January 27 of 2021, the trading volume in AMC stock was 1,250,000,000 shares. We only had 50 million shares. It meant that the entire ownership of AMC was turning over every 20 minutes on the New York Stock Exchange. And the stock went from 5 to 20. And that was the arrival of the apes. And I know that there are maybe two people in this auditorium tonight who came to see Mafia Mama. And they don't have a clue why this guy in the Norwegian sweater is interrupting your movie. But the rest of you, like you're apes, right?
Yeah!
That's what I would have thought. So, you guys arrived, and I know when. It was January 27th of 2021. And it's
So let's summarize Adam Aron's monologue and the key points. So Adam Aron in his monologue says that there were 100 million shares outstanding on January 27, 2021 of AMC. Out of the 100 million shares, 50 million shares were trading and 50 million shares was held by a Chinese company, which is true. The name of the company is Wanda. 1.25 billion shares traded on January 27, 2021, and that AMC stock turned over 25 times. How does he get to that value? You take the 1.2 billion in value and divide it by 50 million shares he claims were outstanding and tradable. The AMC stock gapped up 300%, quadrupled from 497 to 20 on January 27, 2021. Now here's the big question for you, for the viewers. Did Adam Aron commit securities fraud here? Is his monologue factually accurate? And most importantly, how many shares were really outstanding on January 27, 2021? I submit to you that it was definitely not 100 million shares. The evidence we'll present today will challenge that claim and reveal the true numbers. So we're going to start outstanding shares analysis. Let's begin. Question. So how many outstanding shares did AMC have in August of 2020? Now mind you, not August 2021, August 2020. We're going back in time. So on August 3rd, 2020, there were 109 million shares. Let's average down 109 million shares of AMC shares of common stock issued and outstanding, consisting of 57.5, so let's round it to 58 million shares of Class A common stock and 51 million or 52 million of Class B common stock. We could scroll down to page 9, section description of capital stock, on the following link. So let's copy this. Let's print. And as you can see, it's the SEC filing. It says August 28, 2020. It's Form S3, AMC Entertainment Holding. And let's scroll down to page 9. All right, here we are. And here's the key paragraph. So you could see the authorized capital stock consists of 524. So the most of shares Adam Aron could issue was 524. He claims there were 100 million already outstanding. So the most you could issue common stock was 51 million. Let's round it up to 52, and that was already issued and owned by Wanda. And then here is our infamous ape, 50 million preferred stock. And here's the key paragraph. As of August 3rd, 2020, there were 57.5 million shares of common A stock and 51 Class B already issued. And that was Class Common B. And as we continue to read, for those who don't know, AMC is listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and our transfer agent is Computershare. So hopefully all of you agree that paragraph 7 has been substantiated. So let's go. This is now the next couple paragraphs summarize what happened on the price of AMC. As you can see, AMC, for those who don't recall, AMC's share price gradually went up from closed, I think, at 197 in 2020. And they gradually went up, as Adam Aron told us, Tuesday and Monday, January 26th and 25th, and closed at around 5. And then Wednesday, January 27th, we closed at $20, around $20. So since we're analyzing how many shares were out in circulation, for those who remember, in late 2020, several ATMs or at-the-market offerings were made, and several in 2021. So AMC capitalized on the opportunity presented by the increase in its stock price to conduct a series of ATM offerings of treasury shares. As disclosed in AMC's annual report, AMC raised nearly $1.9 billion in gross proceeds through pandemic-era offerings. So let's do an analysis now. Let's review. A couple minutes ago, we just went on the SEC and we saw that the charter allows AMC to issue 524 million shares. We went over the number. It was 57 million common A and 51 million common B. Let's do the math. Sum of, and we get what? 109, as I have it over here. So as of August 2020, there were 109 million shares outstanding. So let's scroll down a little bit, and these are the ATMs. For example, on September 24th, 2020, we did an ATM of 15 million shares. This header, the title of this header is the amount of shares in millions. So we had 15 million here. We raised $56.1 million at an average share price of 3.74. And to the right are all the underwriters. That's column E. Let's go to the next date that we did an ATM. On October 20th, 2020, we did an ATM for 15 million. We raised $41 million, average share price of 277, with Citigroup and Goldman Sachs as our underwriter. Then we did one November 10th, 2020, 20 million shares, 61 million we raised, $3 average with Goldman Sachs and Riley Financial. And here's a key one. On December 3rd, we did a 200 million ATM, and we only sold 40.93 million. And then the rest was carried over into 2021. So on December 11th, we sold the 40.93 out of the 200. We raised 113 million at an average price of 278 with Goldman Sachs and Riley Financial as our underwriter. Then we go into, so let's do the math here. We sold 15 million shares, then 20 million shares, 40.93. That equals to 90.93 plus the 109 up here that we started off in August of 2020. By ending the year of 2020, we already had over 200 million shares outstanding. Then we finished the ATM from the December offering, the 200. We sold an extra 137, and then we sold another 50 on January 25th, 2021. Here's the amount of money we raised, at what share price, and who were the underwriters. So let's do the math. If we added another 50 and 137, that means it's approximately 390 million share or 389 million shares outstanding. Where does Adam Aron get this 100 million shares? All right, so on January 25th, let's just go over prices again. AMC opened at 471, gapping up $1.20 from the previous close of 351, with an intraday high of 488 and an intraday low of 385. The stock closed at 442, accompanied by a significant daily trading volume of 443 million shares. Here we have a summary of it: open, high, low, close. Then let's just go to January 27th. So AMC opened at $20.34, gapping up $15.38 from the previous close of 496. Experiencing an extreme volatile trading day with an intraday high of 2036 and an intraday low of $11.01. The stock closed at 1990, accompanied by significant daily trading volume of 1.2 billion shares compared to its average daily volume of 41 million shares for the first 9 trading days of 2021. Now let's analyze how many halts there were on January 27th. Here's a summary. There were 6 halts. Here you could see the time, when it was resumed, the reason, the exchange, and the date. And then let's just conclude what happened during the trading day. Another important fact, that CNBC's Pippa Stevens reported that AMC had 24% of its flow tied up in short interest. So now that we reviewed what happened on January 27, 2021 during trading hours, what happened on the corporate side? For that, I will direct your attention to the Daniel Meyer transmittal affidavit. All right. So if you go to google.com and you type in these keywords, Daniel Meyer transmittal affidavit AMC May 4, 2023, and then hit enter, the following returns. They're following websites. So Bernstein Litowitz Berger was one of the lead counsel. Mind you, there were two class action lawsuits that were filed on February 20th, 2023, and the two actions were consolidated. So one lead counsel was Bernowitz, Litowitz, Berger. So here's the transmittal affidavit. We could also get it off AMC's website. They were instructed by Judge Zern to publish it on their website. Then another lead counsel was Grant E. Eisenhofer, and you could get it from them. And then Bernstein has it on their regular website. So let's open it up. All right, so as you can see, it says transmittal affidavit Daniel Meyer. And once you could see it's 928 pages, and I submit to you that it's 37 exhibits. We're going to go to Exhibit 3. I'm going to select page 26, and you'll see Exhibit 3. I'm going to scroll down. It's going to be the minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Directors of AMC, January 27th, and here you'll see the time, 7 p.m. Central Time, which equates to 8 p.m. Eastern Time when the after-hour market closed. And then it tells you who was present, and then we'll go over this in a little bit. All right. So as I showed you, the Daniel Meyer transmittal affidavit starts off, or Exhibit 3 is on page 26, and it goes to page 32. So let's go over it. So later that Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, after AMC traded a little over 1.2 billion shares, the AMC board convened a special meeting via Zoom. Adam Aron recommended that the company schedule a special stockholders meeting to amend its certificate of incorporation to authorize another 500 million shares in case company decides to use equity in additional deleveraging strategies. If you do the math, Adam Aron was requesting authorization for 500 million additional shares at a closing price of $20 per share on January 27, 2021. That equates to a staggering $10 billion in potential capital. The question is, why did he need 500 million more shares? If AMC was supposedly saved by retail investors and the company had already raised significant capital, what was the real motive behind this massive share authorization request? So let's go a little background on Daniel Meyer's affidavit. Who is Daniel Meyer? So Daniel Meyer was one of the lead counsel, and he submitted this document on May 4th, 2023 as part of the settlement brief that was submitted by the lead counsel in support of the settlement. Now, it was filed under seal, so we weren't privy to it. Now, the judge instructed them to allow us to see it as objectors, meaning, what does it mean to be an objector? I've mentioned that, I think in the first video. An objector is, for example, the lawsuit was filed, the parties came to a settlement, and now the courts give us shareholders an opportunity to either object or agree to the settlement. And those who voted no were objectors. And I was an objector, as well as Jordan, Al from Boston, and we actually worked on the community brief. And I went to the law library and found out what our rights were as objectors, and I knew that we could get discovery. So I filed an omnibus motion, and at the end of the day, we should be privy to this. And the judge agreed and ordered them to release it, but they didn't. They filed it under seal, and they only released it on May 20th, 2023. Now, mind you, the deadline to submit the objection was May 31st. That means we had to read all these documents, all these pages, then look to hire an attorney if we wanted representation, and to file our brief by May 30th. This is impossible. And Jordan and I worked together, and we put together paperwork where he filed and objected to this and asked for enlargement of time. The judge denied it. Nothing makes sense in that court. But anyway, so this document is 928 pages long, incorporating 37 exhibits. Today, we're just going to focus on Exhibit 3. So let's go. How did we, as I told you, the question's already phrased. How did us AMC shareholders obtain this document, the Daniel Meyer transmittal affidavit? If you watch the first two videos, or Jordan's amazing informative video that was published last week titled Evidence That the AMC Ape Destruction Was Planned, you should know by now that we obtained it as a result of 4 AMC shareholders, objectors, filing motions for discovery. The 4 of them being Al from Boston, Jordan, Frank Marbuto, and myself. So here's the summary of the document, and then we'll skim it. Adam Aron gave the AMC board notice about the week's ATM's results, including after-hours trading on Tuesday. He informed the board that Silver Lake Group and a certain co-investor, it is in quotes, converted its 600 million of convertible debt into approximately 44 million shares of AMC stock, and they quickly sold their shares on the open market that day. Now, here's the key thing that is now supporting that Adam Aron's monologue saying there were 100 million shares outstanding doesn't make sense, because in this minutes, he's now telling the board, requesting that we register the remaining 63 million shares left in the treasury. So imagine, I told you the key number was 524 we could issue. Divided by 63, subtract from 63, you get up to like 400, 477. 470 million shares should be outstanding already. Anyway, he also informs that he's working with Moelis and Wheel, which is a outside counsel, to explore ways to sell newly issued stock and selling such stock using such stock in exchanges. Adam Aron also proposed adding Philip Lader to the pricing committee. Now, question is, who is Philip Lader? I recommend you go to Uncle Frank's YouTube channel and do a search for Philip Lader video. Uncle Frank breaks it down exceptionally well. All right. So let's summarize. The AMC board and Adam Aron adopted a resolution proposing to amend AMC's charter to increase the number of authorized shares of Class A common stock by 500 million shares to a total of 1,024,173,073 shares. So imagine you took the 524 that was originally issued. Now they want to add another 500. And they wanted to bring it to a shareholder vote scheduled for May 4th, 2021. Adam Aron's proposal is notable for its significant magnitude, especially in light of the outstanding float at the time being a little over 400 million shares, with 63 million shares still available for issuance. During the January 27, 2021 special meeting, no documentation was provided to demonstrate that any financial analysis was undertaken to justify the recommendation to authorize an additional 500 million shares of AMC common stock. With retail investors steadfastly hodling their shares, the bad actors on Wall Street found themselves in the need of additional AMC common shares to rectify their predicament. The authorization of new shares would provide them the opportunity to cover their position by purchasing these newly issued shares. Thus, January 27, 2021 marked the genesis of Project Popcorn. All right, so the next thing I want to address is what else happened on January 27th. There's a gentleman on Twitter with he goes by the name of Farfazal. You have to analyze his work. So this is the gentleman. Here's his Twitter handle, @the1Farfazal, and this is the work he did. If you go to this URL, we'll leave it in the notes. Here he is once again. That's his profile icon, and here's his name. And I recommend you read this. It has to do with Mark Cuban, the FTX affair, and AMC tokens. On January 27th, Farfazal discovered the AMC tokens, and once again, what actually happened on January 27th. We gapped up 300%. We got tokens. Anyway, that's why there's the genesis of Project Popcorn is January 27, 2021. So let's go back. Sorry. Let's go back now to the exhibit. So once again, page 26 is exhibit 3. And let's scroll down. Here's the minutes. As you can see, it happened with Zoom at 7 p.m. Central Time. Here are the people that were present. For those who don't know, this is the board. Kevin Connor is general counsel. Corey Shivers is from Weil Gotshal as outside counsel. David Zhang is from Silver Lake. And so here's to show you. The company registered the remaining 63 million shares of stock. So if we have 524 minus 63, that shows how many quote-unquote are outstanding. Why is there only 63 million shares left? So there's no way there was 100 million shares outstanding on January 27, 2021. Let's keep scrolling down. What else stood out? And here's Kevin Connor, who's the secretary, who's the general counsel. He executes his signature. Hold on, what am I doing? Here's where they ask for another 500 million shares. The company decides to use for equity and additional deleveraging. Question is, why 500? And here's the summary. All right, you could read that. And now they're asking to issue another 63 million shares. Whatever's left. Here's another important fact. They wanted to add Philip Lader to the pricing committee. That was also voted on. Anyway, so this you could skim. And that's it. That is the Exhibit 3. So we're almost done. I'm leaving you with several questions before we finish this video. Questions for the viewers. How many shares were out in circulation, not outstanding, on January 27th, 2021? The answer is none of us really know. Now, mind you, the question is out in circulation, not outstanding. How many shares were outstanding on January 27th, 2021? The 100 million shares Adam Aron says during his monologue, or the 389 million shares? Question number 3. Why did Adam Aron need 500 million shares? 500 million more shares? Now here's the last question, 4. When Adam Aron was hired and he bought Carmike, he needed to raise capital and he did an SPO. And now he pivots during the meme stock phenomenon to do ATMs. So what's an SPO, and why did Adam Aron pivot to an ATM? I'll leave that with you guys, and on the next video, we'll answer more of these questions. Thank you, everybody. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel as we move forward with more videos.